Right, for dinner today, on the menu we have 2 T-bone steaks. This one's almost a porterhouse, but the fillet's probably not quite big enough. So you've got your sirloin, or New York strip, as the Americans call it. So sirloin on this side and fillet on that side. Got 2 of them, nice and thickly cut. I've always liked my steaks to be thick cut. And the fat's still on it. Always cook it with the fat, and make sure you put a sear on the fat too to get the fat rendered down. Now cook it in a heavy based metal pan with a metal handle, because then you can stick it in the oven as well. Get it really hot, smoking hot, and then make sure you get a nice crust on it. Now I used to do steaks before in like a griddle pan or something, or in a griddle, to get the griddle marks on it, but that leaves grey bits and charred bits. I prefer it to have an even char all over, so I've gone back to basics and doing it on a flat pan. This ensures a good sear all over the surface of the steak. Now, T-bone steaks are a bit finicky to cook because the fillet cooks at a different speed or at a different rate than the sirloin. So what you can do when you put it in the oven is just cover the fillet side with a bit of foil to ensure that it has a bit of protection. Now, what sides I'm going to cook is sweet corn, roast potatoes. Roast potatoes are just being parboiled, and then they're going to be roughened up and put in the oven. So, potatoes being parboiled for 8 minutes. Take and drain. Be careful not to scald yourself. Now, they're just normal parboiled potatoes at this point. What you do, you put the lid on, get a towel, and vigorously shake. Then you get the surface roughened like that. And this, what it does is it increases the surface area, and you get a crispier exterior and a lighter and fluffier. Well, the inside is going to be light and fluffy anyway. It's just to ensure that you get a more crispier exterior. My roasting tray, as you can see, it's got oil on it. It's come out of the oven. It's on the hob, just so it starts cooking straight away. So you add it to hot fat. As you heard by the sizzle, this will ensure the cooking process begins straight away. Now, if you have any duck fat or goose fat, this makes the potatoes taste a lot better. I finished all my goose fat, otherwise that's what I would have been cooking it with. So, roast potatoes. Let's get some pink Himalayan salt. I do love this, so salt flakes is good. Where's my pepper gone? Let's put some pepper. Now, when I parboiled the potatoes, I also put some mild spices in there. So I put some cumin powder, coriander powder, a bit of chili powder, and a bit of turmeric, just to give it a mild curry taste, if you like. I just like the way the potatoes taste that way. So, going to be having roast potatoes with our steaks. So let's get them on the go. Now I'm doing those at gas mark 6 or 7 for about an hour. My one's a gas oven, not electric. For a fan oven, you'll need to reduce the cooking time and temperature accordingly. So use my cooking method and times only as a guide. Right, what I've done is left the steaks out. I bought them this afternoon, but I've left them out to come to room temperature. Now, steaks this thick, I would say leave them at least a minimum of 2 to 3 hours, if you can. And I've salted them, and as you can see, the steaks are starting to sweat. Now, this is, I don't know if it's visible on camera, but there, look, you can see that it's sort of clammy. So it started to sweat, if you like. This is the process of osmosis. So when you salt it, it's drawing the liquid out. Now this is what the drying and aging process does, or the dry aging process. And when you add salt to it, it's the same process but speeded up many, many times. It also helps to season the meat. Now, just before frying, what I'll do is I'll wipe them down. You could even rinse them if you like, but I'm just going to wipe them down with some kitchen paper and then season again mildly with salt and pepper. That's it. I'm going to keep it plain and simple, seasoning my steaks. That's how I like them. If it was a roasting joint, I may have added some mild spicing, but up to you what you put on it. And I would have liked it with a bit more fat marbling. It's not as though it's got zero marbling, but not as much as I would like. It's got some. Now, when frying the steaks, I've got a choice of two, which can both go in the oven. We've got this cast iron griddle pan, needs a wash, but this is what I used to use before, but I'm going to be using this one. It's got a thickish base. It's got a metal handle, and that's what I'll be doing the steaks in. Going to be, I don't know if I'm going to do a reverse sear on it. Seems to be in fashion now, but I want a really, really good sear on the outside. I want a good crust on it, you know, a nice, deep, dark brown crust on both sides. Also, you need to pay attention to the fat on both sides, so that needs some time as well, as that adds flavor. So keep watching, and I'm going to be doing flat mushrooms or portobello mushrooms. I've got broccolini and asparagus, corn on the cob, and that's what I'm going to be having for my dinner tonight. Right, so I'm using asparagus tips, only going to be parboiled. Okay, so this is already boiling water. So put the asparagus tips in, so they don't need to be broken off. So with these tips, I'd literally only boil them for 2 to 3 minutes tops, and then they're going to be finished off with butter on the griddle, because I prefer them done that way. Now, in the summer, these would be done on the barbecue. 2 to 3 minutes, no more. You cook them any longer, they will lose their color and their vibrancy, which is what we don't want. Got broccolini cooking in there. Baby spinach as well, cooked with salt, pepper and garlic. So the broccoli, it's had its 2 or 3 minutes. Drain it off, and then it's going to be griddled just so it gets some charring. Okay, so we just coat them in some olive oil. So that they can be then cooked on the griddle on this one. So we'll get that griddle smoking hot. We're going to add fat to what we're cooking and not to the pan, because we're griddling it. we're not frying it. So I've added olive oil, going to add a bit of butter while it's still hot. That way each and every one of them will be coated, and once it's cooked we'll add some more for taste. And that, even you could eat it like this. So let's season it too. I'm going to season with my pink salt. Actually, do like the taste of it. I usually use my salt flakes. I love M.A.D sea salt flakes, but second place is the pink salt, and an ample use of pepper. Now this is ready to eat as is, but my missus and the kids do like the char marks and the charred taste. Sorry, this isn't a low fat option. I cook full fat with butter. Now, if you do it this way, you don't have to use as much. It's still healthier than eating processed food. So, up to you. In fact, chef's part. Let's give it a taste. That's good. I like it. It's still got a bit of a crunch. Seasoned to perfection. And that's it. We'll be making some garlic butter spinach. So get your garlic clove. I like to chop it finely. So paper thin like this should do it. And I've chopped up some parsley to go with my mushrooms. So a couple of cloves of garlic, literally a couple of tablespoons of water. Nice big pan like this, but your spinach will disappear to nothing. So put some garlic. Right, so you put your spinach in. Looks like a lot, doesn't it? And like I keep saying, this will disappear to absolutely nothing. Now let's get some seasoning in there. So as I say, I love this pink salt. Run out of my salt flakes, so this is a nice substitute for the M.A.D salt flakes. Okay, so get it nice and hot. Couple of tablespoons of water. So a ladle like that. Maybe another one. And that's enough. And just cover. Knob of butter. This will be like a self-seasoning or self-basting, if you like. So let's get that down in there. Now this, look, already is starting to disappear down in there. Works better with the lid on. And I've just uncovered it just to show you what's going on. As you can see, it's reducing down, and it's reducing down quickly. Just stirring it to make sure all the garlic at the bottom, and I've chopped up some parsley and put it in there. So it's just baby spinach, salt and pepper, butter and garlic. That's it. And look, it is practically gone already. Now you don't want to overcook this or over reduce it. So we're going to be having chopped mushrooms as well. just simple, cutting them in half and then slicing them up, straightforward like that. Oops, lost them down there. I'll have to get Aaron's mum to go on a retrieval mission. So, mushroom, simply butter, olive oil, salt and pepper, and garlic and mushroom. I mean garlic and parsley, that's it. Now, this is the spinach. As you can see, it's done, but look at how much water it's released. Now, I added water to it as well, just to start the steam process going. Now, with hindsight, I can say that I didn't need to add any, but just half a ladle or 1 ladle would have been enough. But that water is flavorful, but I don't want any of it. I don't want a waterlogged plate. So I'm using this strainer to get at the spinach. Now this baby spinach is, as you can see, perfectly wilted, and I can smell the hum of garlic, and that's how I want it. It's still a nice green color. It hasn't gone grey or that muddy green color that we associate with overcooked veg. And it's still got a satisfying bite to it. So I don't know if you can hear that. It's still got that nice crunch to it. So that's how we do the spinach. Now this can be reheated later. And hot. Add some olive oil and butter. We add olive oil with the butter so the butter doesn't burn. And add a knob of butter. And let's get our fungi in the dish, in the pan, sorry. Now with mushrooms, I don't like to wash them because they soak up a lot of water and your mushrooms will become watery. But what I do is I use a brush and I give it a good once over, and that usually is enough to ensure that they're dust free. Now what you need to do is make sure that it's frying, because when you add salt to it, it will promote osmosis, or it will make the liquid come out of the mushrooms. But seasoning is important. Salt and pepper to taste. Now, off camera, I did add some garlic to it, and I'll chop up some parsley and put that in there too. Now I'm going to chop up some parsley to put in with it. Now you don't put it in halfway through the cooking process. You put it in right at the end, or even after you turn the heat off. So just some nicely roughly chopped up parsley. No, I'm not a professional, not by any stretch of the imagination. Now, I like my mushrooms, usually I like them not fried into oblivion. Sometimes I do like it thoroughly cooked, but today we shall forego overcooking. And that is the mushroom done. Mushrooms with parsley and garlic, fried in butter. As you can see, I'm going to just dry up the excess. Now, you don't want to be rubbing with it, otherwise you'll get fibers or lint coming off the tissue. So we get rid of the excess moisture. It's nicely at room temperature now. So what we'll do is we'll oil the steaks. Right, so we've oiled the steak. Yeah. So a neutral oil, not extra virgin olive oil. Can use olive oil, but I'm using vegetable oil or rapeseed oil. That's fine. Get your get your pan smoking hot and put your steak in. Now I'm going to start with the fat. Let's get some of this fat rendered down. As you can see, the steak is releasing oil or fat as it renders down. Yeah. So you don't need to put huge amounts of fat in your pan or coating your steak. You get nice sear on the fat. Get it to release the fat, and then we put it down and have it start cooking. Now don't monkey around with it, don't keep flipping it, leave it, let it do its thing, let it get a nice crust on it, then flip it over. I would, on this thickness steak, I'd do it probably about between 3 and 4 minutes on each side, and then whack it in the oven for about 7 to 10 minutes. Now, if you're cooking by the touch and feel method, this is your rare steak, this is your medium rare steak, this is your medium to medium well steak, and this is your well done steak, or what I call shoe leather. You can use meat thermometer. Now, about 55 to 58 degrees is probably a medium rare steak. You know, I'd cook it probably as high as about 60 degrees centigrade in the center, no higher than that. That's for me, how I like it and my preference. So you do you, and use my instructions only as a guide. Okay, so let's have a look. Right, so we've got a crust starting to form. You see, that's the color you want, but you want it all over the steak. And I can feel the meat starting to firm up. Large knob of butter. Now this is for basting. Probably time to flip. Yep, you see, we have a nice crust on it. That's what you're looking for. Now obviously, because it's cooked on the bone, you're not going to get every single part of the steak making contact. Now perhaps if I pushed it down some, you know, I could have improved the contact that it makes with the pan. But this is how I like to do it. Okay, so butter basting. Now a lot of people say they can't taste the difference when they butter baste it. If you're going to cut it up and serve it in thin strips, then perhaps there might be something to that. But I eat my steak as is. The entire steak goes on my plate, I cut it up and eat it, and I can taste the difference of butter basting. So this makes all the difference. Now remember, when you get your steak thick cut like this, take the time to go around all the sides, ensuring that it makes contact with the pan. You see? This attention to detail just lifts it up that last little bit to take it to the level of perfection. From a good dish to a great dish. Now, this has been done for 4 minutes on each side, and this is going to go into the oven for about 7 minutes. And then when it comes out, it will be rested for about 8 minutes, 10 minutes. 5 or 6. Gas mark 5 oven. Yes. Already dejé les hizo, sé que sí. That's fat. There may be a little bit. Ya te va café para eso.
ये शेन बुच्चा रविला हम करता है ना
No, era que tenía hambre hoy del
हमारे ठीक हो
बेटा एक्सपेक्ट करते ना मनो एशियन बेटा kita nibo dam dikai dur marbo okay everything else ready holla gorom kora arambho koro oven temperature কমাই
ফিনিশ লাগা গরম হয়ে গেছে আবার পরে গরম
ফিনিশ লাগে গরম হয়ে গেছে এটা হোক
গরম আছে কথা হয়তো
lo fat দ্বারা খাইতে দিলে help হয় तो भाई यही को ऐसा का ये दिखाओ dithering
তুমি আমাকে হারাইছো পানি গরম করতাম আমি কিছু লিড ওয়াশ করব লাগিয়া
there perfect a little bit more almost right as you can see we have nice crust formed starting to feel good been basting it continuously now I've taken the fat off so this is also an option cook it with the fat cut it off afterwards fat equals flavor people see I started off with practically a dry pan this is all fat and 1 knob of butter. Now we finish it off in the oven. So this can go in with that one. This one's almost ready to come out. Let's not get the oven cold by leaving the door open. So this is practically there. Now the important thing